I mean, I pick up a football. I'm not thinking about, hey, let's just play catch. I'm thinking like, how tight of a spiral can I throw it? And if they called me into action right now, would I be ready to go?
That was my next question. Would you be ready to go right now?
I'd whoop ass right now, to be honest.
Would you really?
Absolutely. I could go out there and play. Give me a month. I mean, I could go play with anybody.
Really?
Seriously? Like
31 days.
Like knees and hips?
My body, I mean, like I said, I took care of my body great. I mean, everything is, I could do it all.
Tom Brady called the NFL and asked to come back. At 48 years old, with 7 Super Bowl rings, with every passing record in the history books already next to his name, he picked up the phone, dialed the league office, and asked for permission to play professional football again. And the NFL said no. Not because Brady could not play, not because the arm was gone or the mind had slowed or the competitive fire had finally burned itself out. They said no because of a rules conflict so unprecedented that the league had no framework to handle it, and the situation it created briefly pointed toward one specific team that made every football fan in the country stop breathing for a moment. But before we get into exactly why the league blocked this, we need to talk about what Brady did 3 days before that phone call. Because what happened at a flag football game in March 2026 is the reason this story exists at all, and what the world saw that day reignited a question that was supposed to be permanently closed. Plus, we are going to break down why Kansas City specifically became the team everyone connected Brady to, and why that scenario was simultaneously the most logical and most impossible idea in modern NFL history. And we will get to the moment Brady walked into Patrick Mahomes' locker room after a playoff loss that reveals everything about why their relationship is unlike anything football has ever seen. Stay locked in, because this is bigger than one phone call. Here is the foundation. 3 days before Brady's CNBC interview confirmed his return inquiry, he suited up for the Fanatic Flag Football Classic on March 23, 2026. No pass rush, no linebackers reading his eyes, no defensive end collapsing the pocket in under 3 seconds. Just Brady, a football field, and elite athletes running routes. And he looked like he had never left. Tight spirals, multiple touchdowns, a velocity that made people forget the man was closing in on 49 years old. Accuracy that would embarrass half the active starters in the NFL. His team lost the game, and nobody cared about the final score. Because the only thing that mattered, the only thing anyone was talking about, was the arm. And the arm looked dangerous. That flag football performance was the spark. But the fire had been smoldering for months, ever since December 2025, when Patrick Mahomes went down with a torn ACL and LCL that ended his season and sent the entire NFL into shock. And it gets more significant from there. The Kansas City Chiefs, winners of 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, the most dominant dynasty in modern football, suddenly had no quarterback. Their empire, built entirely around the most gifted offensive player of his generation, went 6-11 without him. Their offense, which had been the most creative and explosive unit in professional football, turned ordinary overnight. And when the greatest quarterback who ever lived was spotted throwing darts in flag football game 3 months later, the internet did the only logical thing it could do. It connected the dots. Brady to the Chiefs. The GOAT stepping in to keep a dynasty alive, while his heir healed his knee. Andy Reid's system, built for a smart, quick-processing quarterback who could diagnose coverages and deliver the ball on time, lined up almost perfectly with the way Brady had played his entire career. Travis Kelce still on the roster. The supporting cast still assembled to win immediately. And a 48-year-old quarterback whose arm had just reminded the entire world that retirement had not taken a single thing away from him physically. The fantasy felt almost real. And then Brady confirmed he had actually called the league, which means it was never just a fantasy. Now here is where it gets really interesting.
Funny enough, you ask. I actually have inquired, and they don't like that idea very much. So I'm going to leave it at that. We explored a lot of different things, and I'm very happily retired. Let me just say that too. So I loved being out there playing in the flag game. I love not getting hit. I've got a lot of really fun things I'm involved in. And it's never going to be old, and get old throwing passes to incredible athletes on the football field.
Brady's return inquiry ran directly into a wall that no amount of desire, reputation, or competitive greatness could move. In 2024, Brady purchased a 5% minority ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders alongside a group of investors. Under a league policy established in 2023, specifically to protect competitive integrity, active players cannot hold equity in any NFL franchise. No exceptions. No special circumstances. Not even for the man with 7 rings who redefined what the position looks like at its absolute ceiling. The conflict went even deeper than the basic ownership rule. The Chiefs are in the AFC West, the same division as the Raiders. Brady's team. They play each other twice every single season. Every snap Brady took against Las Vegas would invite impossible questions about competitive integrity. Every audible at the line of scrimmage. Every pre-snap read built on years of studying defensive tendencies. Every piece of organizational knowledge Brady might have absorbed during his time as an owner and advisor could theoretically influence how he competed against his own franchise. The league did not need a committee to figure out why that was a catastrophic problem. The answer was immediate and final. Divest the Raiders' stake completely, sell every share, walk away from the ownership group entirely, or stay retired. And Brady made his choice. He said he was very happily retired. He said the flag football game reconfirmed his love of the game without the punishment of getting hit on every other play. He closed the conversation with the kind of clean, direct language that suggested the matter was settled. Except this is Tom Brady, the man who retired after the 2022 season, then came back 40 days later for one more year in Tampa. The man who has treated retirement less like a permanent destination and more like a rest stop on a highway. He is not done driving. When Brady says he is happily retired, the football world has learned to hear that statement and simultaneously file it under pending rather than final. The ESPN post about his inquiry hit social media on March 26th and generated over 1.7 million views within hours. The reaction was equal parts reverence and disbelief. Brady at 48 still scaring the league more than most quarterbacks at 28. The GOAT trying to unretire like it is a casual Tuesday errand, and the league politely declining. The tone was playful, but underneath every joke was a real question nobody could answer with complete confidence. Does Tom Brady actually want to play football again? And if the ownership conflict magically disappeared tomorrow, would the league be ready for what came next? Now let us talk about why the Kansas City connection was more than just fan fiction, because the football logic behind it was genuinely compelling and deserves to be taken seriously. Andy Reid's offensive system is designed around one core principle: a quarterback with elite processing speed who can diagnose what a defense is doing before the snap and deliver the ball quickly and accurately to exactly the right place. That description fits Patrick Mahomes perfectly. It also fits Tom Brady as precisely as any description of any quarterback's game ever could. Brady's competitive edge was never physical. He said it himself, his superpower was processing speed. The ability to look at a defense, identify the coverage, find a vulnerability, and get the ball out before the pressure arrived. He described himself as operating at a speed that the rest of the league was still trying to catch up to. And that kind of processing speed does not deteriorate with age. Film study does not have an expiration date. Football intelligence does not wear down the way a knee does or a shoulder does. What Brady would have brought to Andy Reid's system in a Mahomes-less Kansas City was not a physical solution. It was a mental one. A quarterback who could run the offense the way it was designed to be run, with pre-snap command, quick decisions, and the accumulated wisdom of 23 seasons reading defensive coordinators who had thrown everything imaginable at him and failed. Travis Kelce at that stage of his career was still one of the most reliable receiving options in football. The weapons around him were built for the kind of controlled, efficient, high-percentage passing game that Brady had mastered better than anyone in NFL history. The coaching staff was still among the best in the league. Everything about that situation pointed toward a quarterback who could have walked in, managed that offense effectively, and kept Kansas City competitive while Mahomes healed. The problem was the Raiders' jersey hanging in a Las Vegas suite and a league policy that existed for exactly this kind of scenario. Now, let us talk about the Brady-Mahomes dynamic, because this is where the story transcends the return speculation and becomes something genuinely profound about the nature of greatness and legacy in professional sports. After the 2018 AFC Championship game, a game Brady and the Patriots won in overtime, Brady did something that almost no superstar in professional sports would do. Instead of staying in his own locker room to celebrate a victory that was sending him to another Super Bowl, he walked across the stadium to the Kansas City locker room. He found the 23-year-old quarterback he had just beaten, and he told him to keep going. Not because Mahomes needed the encouragement, not because Brady was performing for cameras or managing his public image. Because Brady had watched Mahomes all season and recognized something in him that had nothing to do with arm talent or athletic ability, the leadership, the humility, the way his teammates played harder because of who he was as a human being rather than simply what he could do on a football field. That quality, the ability to elevate everyone around you through genuine connection rather than pure talent, was always Brady's own definition of quarterback greatness. And seeing it reflected in a 23-year-old in Kansas City was the only thing impressive enough to pull Brady away from his own celebration. Mahomes has referenced that moment publicly as some of the most impactful professional guidance he has ever received. Brady does not see Mahomes as a threat to his legacy. He sees Mahomes as the continuation of everything he spent 23 seasons building, proof that the standard he set was not a ceiling, but a foundation that the next generation could build from. Brady won his 7th ring at 43. Mahomes has 3 rings at 30. The math of what is possible over the next decade is staggering if the body cooperates and the roster around him remains competitive. Brady did not win his 4th championship until he was 37. He understands from lived experience that the distance between 3 Super Bowls and 7 is not simply 4 more rings, is a decade of sustained excellence navigated through injuries, roster turnover, coaching changes, and the relentless physical toll of playing the most violent team sport on earth at its absolute highest level. Mahomes is learning that lesson right now. Through the torn ACL, through the 6-11 collapse, through the first-hand experience of watching a dynasty you built crumble the moment you are carried off the field. That is exactly the kind of painful education Brady endured during his 10-year drought between his 3rd and 4th championships, and is the education that ultimately transformed Brady from a great quarterback into an all-time legend who understood that nothing about winning championships is guaranteed, ever. Brady's March 2026 phone call was not really about coming back. It was not about the Chiefs. It was not about replacing Mahomes or inserting himself into a story that was never his. It was about a 48-year-old man who won everything there is to win in professional football, confirming what every true competitor already knows: the desire to compete never fully dies. The fire that built 7 championships does not get extinguished by a retirement speech. It burns until the body physically cannot carry it anymore, and even then it smolders. Brady picked up the phone. The league reviewed the rules. The answer was no, and Brady said he was very happily retired. But the fact that he asked, the fact that at 48, with everything already accomplished, he still felt the pull of the game strong enough to make that call, tells you more about Tom Brady than any Super Bowl ring ever could. Here is the bottom line. Tom Brady called the NFL at 48 years old and asked to come back. The league said no because of an ownership conflict that had no precedent and no clean solution. Brady accepted the answer and returned to his retirement. And for about 48 hours, every football fan on the planet got to live inside a scenario that was simultaneously impossible and utterly believable, because Tom Brady has spent his entire career making the impossible routine. My prediction: Brady never plays another NFL snap. But the fact that he asked, and the fact that the league had to build a policy specifically to prevent it, is the final proof that no quarterback in the history of this sport has ever been what Tom Brady was. Not before him. Possibly not after him either. If you want more stories about the greatest players and moments in NFL history, hit that subscribe button right now. And drop a comment below. Do you think Tom Brady could still compete at an NFL level if the rules allowed it? Or is the flag football arm a mirage that full-contact football would expose immediately? This is Gridiron Insights. We'll see you in the next one.